Thank you for listening to the Tattness podcast on the Tattness Co. Network.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. A Mercedes kind of sentiment, luxury, and trust in me to honor the free we all should be. It seems my sundial burst into yin and yang, right and left me.
What's cracking, you guys? Welcome to the Tattness podcast. My guest today is an absolute legend, and I mean that in every sense of the word. Leland Sklar, dude. Leland Sklar is fucking amazing. He is the bass player for Phil Collins and pretty much anyone else you can imagine. He's kind of been able to enjoy the road, so to speak, playing for like some of the biggest names, a lot of the biggest names that you've ever heard from back in the day that are still around now, kicking ass, Hall of Famers, man. This guy has kicked so much ass. He's even got a coffee table book out now that's literally just people flipping him the bird. Man after my own heart. You're not going to want to miss this show. This guy has stories. He's a great dude and amazing talent. Check out his YouTube channel too. And he actually plays a lot of the songs that he played bass for back in the day that he'll kind of take you through it and just play it on video. It's really cool to see. Follow, subscribe him, to his channel, and just check him out, man. He's amazing. All right, so how's it going?
It's all, it's going as good as it can be expected under such remarkably strange circumstances that we all find ourselves in.
It is.
I had a packed year in March all the way through February of next year, and then within 1 week, every single thing was either. It was mostly canceled. Some were postponed until next year. But we'll see. My gut feeling is they're too early in next year to really ever happen. It'll probably be the following year. So
yeah, everything got pushed back. It's really crazy. And this December, I was told that there may be an event. Kenny Olson and Scott Page and them are supposed to be going to Montreal, which is about an 11.5-hour drive for me.
Yeah.
And said, you should come out. And I said, hell yeah, I will. And they're like, if it happens, because now, who knows?
That's the whole thing. Right. It's like the last real kind of big gig that I was involved with was at late February. We did a Rock Legends cruise that went from Fort Lauderdale to the Grand Caymans. And it was like Roger Daltrey was on it, and Nancy Wilson from Heart, and Mark Farner from Grand Funk. It was all the tons of artists, and our band, The Immediate Family, was on it. And then they asked us to come back in next February, and then they just contacted us and said, that's canceled. Now it's going to be February of 2022. So these things, it's all, man, everything is, I always tell people, like, I believe everything that I'm involved with is etched in mud. Because anything can happen, and you just, you hope for the best, and, you just don't want to spend your life, being bugged and annoyed by things. If something, I don't want to put anybody in harm's way, including myself. So,
right. And stressing out over something you can't control just seems senseless.
Yeah,
it doesn't change anything. So, it's just really up in the air. I think everything's really questionable at this point.
Yeah.
The borders open up, and then they're like, okay, that was a bad idea. Close them up again, and so by December, I mean, it could be any number of outcomes. It could be super restricted. It could be just not happening. It could be everything's good. It's hard to say.
We don't know. It's really nebulous at this point. So the thing is, you just kind of get up every day and you try to look for something positive to do, and just try to keep you and your community afloat through all this. I got a niece and nephew. They're both teachers, and they're just starting up again, and they're going through all kinds of insanity, because at least their district is doing remote and not forcing everybody back into a classroom. But they're just every day they're on Zoom calls with all their, their students, but also with the other faculty, and they're, everybody's, it's kind of a new game, and everybody's kind of writing the book as it goes on.
Exactly. It's
so we'll see what happens. I just want to be have everybody be safe. I know a number of people that have died. I know a number of people who are sick. So this, that's not, a lot of people act like it's a hoax. Well, tell that to the families of the deceased,
Right. It's definitely come down to, there's some people that are not as immune as others. And, you have to be mindful of that.
Yeah.
And, it's kind of uncharted territory in a lot of ways, because
it really is. It really is. Cause we've never had, it's been, like almost 100 or about 100 years since they had the last thing like this, where, every year there's all kinds of things from flu to Ebola, you name it. But it's a long time since there's been something that truly has touched, every corner of the planet.
Absolutely. And it's just been so disruptive to everything. And, people are still good on them for trying to make plans to do something. If it can work out that way, but they're leaving themselves open for last minute cancellations, or you never know. And
well, my wife and I were supposed to be leaving for France. We're involved with an organization called Canine Companions for Independence, which is they train and raise and place service dogs.
Oh.
And so last year, at the end of last year, we had our big annual fundraiser, and one of the things that was being auctioned off was a trip to France, and it was for 8 people. So we got 6 other friends, and everybody, bought into this thing, and it was going to be a week in the Loire Valley or something like that. And we were supposed to be there like next week, and that got canceled. We moved it to May of next year, and then they just suggested moving it to the end of September of next year.
Wow.
Because also at this point, Americans, there's a lot of places we can't go because, we're that passport says, Yes. Who would have ever thought? But man, I don't even want to get into the freak show we're dealing with here. I'd rather talk about music and stuff that's uplifting and meaningful.
Exactly. And that's what I love about this is, with my show, it's never some robotic, scripted question after question that you probably heard God knows how many times. I hated that when I get interviewed, and it's, always the same questions. Everyone thinks that they're the first to ask these things.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my God, it's got to get so boring and redundant. So,
yeah, but sometimes too, it's kind of like people have asked me, like when I was with James Taylor, they would say, aren't you sick of playing Fire and Rain? You must have played that 1,000 times. And I would always look at him and I'd say, look, somewhere in that audience, somebody's hearing it for the first time.
Right.
And that's who I'm playing to. And there's somebody in that audience who's been to every damn show you've ever done, and they're singing along and they know everything. But as long as there's people that are still, on the adventure with you, it's never boring. So for me, even like the questions, I'm talking to somebody different. Their interpretation of that question might be a little bit different. So I'm always like just up for anything. And then when we sign off, I can go, what a wanker.
Right.
Or they're going, what a wanker.
I always like the organic conversation approach, because then you're not leading the witness, and somebody will talk about what they would like to get out of their system, because everybody is different. It's like you do something for a living. Sometimes the last thing you want to talk about is what you do all the time. It's like, I'm a person, man. I have other outside interests.
Yeah.
That's nice to talk about.
Yeah, but also, when you commit to doing an interview, then you've got to be ready for things. If you don't want to deal with that kind of stuff, then when they call you to do an interview, you say, no, thank you.
Exactly. So, I always do the conversation thing, because you find out more stuff that way, I find. Yeah,
well, it's kind of cruises all over. Unexpected things can pop up in there.
Right, like Scott Page and I talked about entrepreneurship and things that he's doing, and it's really fascinating.
He's been one of the forefront guys for so long,
right?
At technology and everything.
And he's the first to tell me that he doesn't know much about technology because he has so many troubles with it. That he's like, without my team, man.
That's why you have people with you.
Right.
My people, kind of thing.
I told him that without my producer, man, I'm about as technologically sound as a Mennonite. So, if I don't have my producer that set up the IT aspect of it, I'm usually lost and scrambling to figure it out. So I understood that completely.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Isn't it?
We have our own niches. What we're good at.
Yeah, and IT's not it for me, man.
I got just enough to be slightly dangerous.
There you go. Yeah, it was a good conversation too about just because of the technology aspect, how business has changed so much.
Yeah,
like it's a different playing field now where there's almost no overhead if you don't want there to be.
Yeah, brick and mortar's history.
Yeah, there's a lot of on-demand stuff that it's like you don't pay for nothing until somebody orders it. There's all the online presence where it's like there's no lease for a website. If it's not panning out for you, just cut it.
Yeah. I mean, I've since March, man, I jumped in head first into all of this. I mean, I'm doing stuff I never dreamed I would be doing, and every day's busy as hell.
Right.
With all this, technological things I'm dealing with, and I'm digging it. But the thing is, like I've got a YouTube channel now, and I've told the people if the floodgates open and we can hit the road again and start doing stuff, I said, I'm not abandoning this. It's going to enhance my channel because I'll be able to take people on the road with me and meet people, see sound checks, see gigs, all kinds of stuff. And it was a total accident for me that it even happened. People were telling me how much they were loving my channel. I said, what channel? I had no idea. I only posted a couple of videos responding to some questions guys had for me. And next thing you know, I mean, without even trying, I've got about 133,000 people on my channel. And I've been on every day since the pandemic started. I've posted on it. It gives me purpose.
Right. And
we've created a great community.
That timing is brilliant.
Yeah. And I mean, I've got a clubhouse that I formed in it. I've got a gift shop and I'm doing, and it's once again, it's the kind of swag that nothing gets made till it's ordered. So there's no inventory. You're not sitting there with boxes of t-shirts that are going to turn into rags for cleaning the car eventually if they don't just disintegrate.
Right.
It's interesting. I find it all fascinating, especially at this age, man. It's wow.
It's definitely changed so much in the last bit, and that timing is brilliant because of people being quarantined and whatever they want. Yeah. They want entertainment. They want something. And just the chance of people stumbling upon it.
Yeah.
So much higher now.
Yeah.
So it's really cool. And I was just talking about that with Scott too, about doing more of now there's like a Twitch channel where you could do it, same thing as YouTube, but live in real time. So you can actually have your viewers ask questions for your guests and in real time.
Yeah.
And I think that's a game changer. I think that's something, it's all live. So you got to make sure you're on point, and it's a little bit of a different atmosphere.
Yeah, I've got on my YouTube channel, I formed this Lee's Clubhouse, and it's a subscription thing, but it's like for the general thing, it's like $10 a month, and I do 2 live streams, and I usually do about 2 to 3 hour stream, and so like I'm sitting there talking to people, and the chat window is just roaring along, and I'm answering everybody's questions and talking to them, and then once a month I do this is like the upper level of the clubhouse. I've got a day where I do like either Skype or FaceTime one-on-ones.
Oh, that's cool.
And so, I mean, it's all really great, and the community is really, really amazing. And I'm really enjoying it. It's real fun, like when people start commenting and other people are commenting on the comments, and that they've formed a community.
Yeah.
Within this. So sometimes I'm just sitting back and watching them hang.
Right.
So it's really cool. I mean, it's really the kind of stuff. I mean, I don't know how long your show is going on. Are you going to be able to edit?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Oh, so I can sit and bullshit and you can cut stuff off and stuff that you're doing. Yeah, because for me, the way it all started was we just had finished this Phil Collins tour. We were out of almost 2.5 years off and on. And when we finished it, I had guys writing to me going, man, we saw you guys like in Sao Paulo or something like that. Now when we were playing like a soccer stadium, things like that. And they said, we have a great front of house guy. And they said, we could hear you, but it was hard to hear details because, once you get into arenas and bigger, it's hard. And so they were asking me about some of the parts. And so what I did was I contacted our front of house guy, Michel Collin, and I had him send me a show. He sent me our show from Adelaide, which was a really good show, sent me the board mix of it. So what I did was I put that in my laptop. I plugged a little Bose speaker into the headphone jack. And then I have a bass amp on the floor next to me. So what I would do is I would play, I said, I'm going to do a song a day in the order of the show. And so I did my first video was the opening of the show. But I've placed the bass on top of the track so you can hear every nuance of it. And that's when 3 days into it, people started writing saying how much they're loving the channel. And that's when I said, what channel? I thought I was just answering. Because I go on YouTube all the time. I'm an insomniac, so a lot of times in the wee hours of the morning, I'm just like checking out all kinds of shit, see who's doing what and what kind of stuff's going on. And but I didn't realize it would become a channel. And then I ended up hooking up with Rick Beato, and he started telling people on his channel they should go check mine out. And all of a sudden, this thing has just taken on a life of its own. Once I got through the show, there's only one song I didn't do. Take Me Home, which if I come to the penultimate show of this channel, then I'll do Take Me Home at that point. But once I got through the show, then I started going, well, hell, where do I go from here? So I started pulling up everything from Jackson Browne to Billy Cobham to Barbra Streisand to you name it. And I'm doing the same thing every day with them. I just did another, this week I'm doing a few more Phil songs that I, kind of digging into back catalog and inner album stuff that wasn't the big hits. And so I'm having a ball, man. People have responded. And then plus, I've had a thing that's been looming forever. In 2004, when we were on Phil's, the first Final Farewell tour, there was talk that Phil was going to retire after that. And I was kind of sitting there, and we had like 100 crew guys on the road. I mean, it was a massive tour. And I thought I may never see any of these guys again because they're from all over the world. Wow. And so I decided I would make a little personal folder with pictures of everybody for future memories once I don't have any memories anymore. And I had a bass tech practically for the first time in my life. I've always teched myself on the road. And so this guy, Steve, was my bass tech, and he came onto the tour. I think he'd been on the road with some band where the bass player had like 10 basses and he wanted new strings every day and all that kind of shit. So, he's coming and going, what do you need? What do you need? And I said, I really don't need anything. I got 2 basses on the road with me. One's a backup in case something happens to the one I'm using. And I guess just make sure my amp turns on, and that's about it. So at the end, he was the first guy I walked up to take a picture, and he was working on his laptop. So he's sitting there typing away, and I said, hey, Steve, give me a smile. And he just went, oh, this is cool. So I went and got everybody to flip me off. And I put it away. It was really fun. It was about 120 pictures in this folder. Then a couple years later, I went out with Toto. And I thought, I'm going to do, and I got all those guys. So at this point, I was up to about 200 photographs. And I thought, this is kind of taking on a life of its own. Right. So I kept taking pictures. And I've got like over 11,000 photographs now of people flipping me off of every walk of life in it. You name it, from guys like Jack Nicholson and Gwyneth Paltrow and all those kind of, to, athletes like Bernie Williams from the Yankees and all kinds of, all the musicians I know. I'd go to the NAMM show and get hundreds and hundreds of pictures. So I've just finished a coffee table book with about 6,000 pictures in it. We're getting ready to go to print, and I should have it for sale by the end of November. And it's a major coffee table book. It's beautiful. It's really high quality, a padded cover with a funny, really funny cover on it. And so I'm going to get ready to start a Kickstarter program. Now I'm going to investigate how you do that. I mean, it's like all these things going on that never in a million years would I have thought I would be doing it, because I was supposed to be on the road, supposed to be working.
There you go. Patreon might be a good choice for that.
Yeah.
Because they have all those tiers and, you know, incentives for people that, you know, the more they donate.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I'm going to go, because, you know, there'll be a basic level of just buying the book in advance. There'll be another level of getting a personalized autograph book. You know, different things like that. But I'm investigating. So what was the one you suggested?
Patreon.
Patreon. Let me write that down. I haven't even heard of that.
It's very common, and you can get monthly donations from people, and it's basically typically people that can afford it will throw some money down every so often to help you with your project, and then as an incentive, you just give them something every so often in return.
I'll clean my hairbrush out after I brush my beard and send him a little envelope with some.
I was thinking, God forbid, if you ever end up with amnesia or something, and the only thing you had is those pictures to kind of remember and be like, damn, I wasn't very well liked. Look at all these people flipping me off.
It's real funny because the title of the book is Everybody Loves Me. It's really a hoot, man. We sit there laughing. The guy I'm doing the book with, who does art books, and as we're going through it, and we've got all these different categories in the thing that are, you know, to make it interesting, and it's really going to be fun. I've been hyping it on my YouTube channel, and so many people are going, I'm in. You know, just when you get it up and going, let us know. And so we'll see what happens. But it's the kind of things that are happening because of the pandemic, where you could be sitting almost suicidal during this period. And I know there's a lot of people who are, because, you know, they may be alone and they're locked in an apartment, and they're maybe going to lose the apartment because of, you know, there's people, you know, or they, you know, right at the corner near where I live, there's a school for special needs kids. And you see some really challenged children that are there every day, and now they're at home.
Yeah.
And, you know, how are the families dealing with the stuff where really therapists and people that were working in this school were there to really help these kids, and suddenly the parents dealing with some kids who are, you know, prone to massive tantrums where they're smashing their head on the wall and stuff, severe autism, and so it's a bitch of a time for a lot of people.
Which makes it really impressive when people adapt so well.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, it didn't happen easy. It's like they just have that wiring to just be like, okay, well, this is the new norm. You know, and now this is what I'll do as an alternative. And it usually, you know, for some people, it really pans out really well.
Yeah.
And I mean, with the timing too, you got all these people stuck at home that already love online shopping and things like that. So it's kind of like, why not use that to your advantage, make your living that way?
Yeah.
You're safe.
Literally, my income was completely shut down for the year, at least. And so with this stuff, I mean, it's not like I'm on the road working, you know, making that living. But, you know, to me, money's always been a secondary aspect of things. It's really, if I'm doing something I'm really enjoying, you know, there will be some dough. And my needs at this point in my life are, you know, it's not that big a deal, where I think it's more important to connect with people and be supportive, have relationships, and try to be a positive energy in an otherwise really potentially totally negative experience for people.
Exactly. And I always said that, like, if you don't enjoy what you're doing, what the hell are you doing it for?
Yeah.
Because there's going to come a day when you're on your deathbed and saying, I should have just gone and done what made me happy. because it flies by so fast.
It's horrifying. It's just fucking horrifying.
Right.
I mean, like I think back to like when I first started really working, when I was hitting the road consistently and starting to record. I was about 20 or 21 when it really started. And I'm like 73 and a half now. So, in the beginning, you're looking at a calendar and it looks like light years ahead. You don't think about anything. And all of a sudden now, even if I remain totally healthy, there's kind of a finite amount of numbers left on that calendar. And how do you want to spend them? It's a real eye opener at this point. So I'm just trying to make every day, interesting. And plus we've got a band, and the guys I'm in the band with, I've been with for 50 years. It's all the original guys from the early days, and we just got the new cut of our new video, which is unbelievable. It looks like David Lynch meets Nine Inch Nails meets. It is dark and really intense. And the first video we did was a song called "Cruel Twist," and it was more like an up vibe. This one is like really dark. The record's one of the best albums I've ever worked on. And it'll be out at the beginning of the year. And Denny Tedesco, who made the movie The Wrecking Crew, is doing a documentary film about us. And so we're trying to line all these things up. So, it's like every day is full of activities, even though I'm not leaving the house for the most part.
That's crazy. That's awesome. I can't wait to see that video, actually.
It's really cool.
That sounds like it's going to be super cool. Right up my alley, man.
Yeah. The song's called Slippin' and Slidin'. It's Waddy Wachtel's singing lead on this one. And man, it's like he's so in the moment. You'll have to just see it. It'll probably be out in probably within the month, I guess. We have an EP coming out in October. And this will be the second single, and then the EP comes out. And then we might do another EP after the first of the year, depending on how the documentary film's going, because we're going to try to line that up with the album. And we just wanted to get on the road. We were starting to gig and stuff, and it was just getting tighter and more intense. But to be on stage and looking around, like I look next to me and Russ Kunkel sitting there, and I've known Russ since '68, and we've been playing together since 1970. So it's like, the comfort zone is so deep. And with Waddy Wachtel and Danny Korchmar and Steve Postel, it's an amazing opportunity just to, there's that old adage where they say you can't go home.
Right.
And then we kind of got to go, even though we've been playing together forever, but we kind of got to go home and put this band together, and it's great. It's fun. This is kind of started as the Section back in the 70s. And this is not that at all, because Craig Durgee's not involved and Waddy wasn't in that. But it's this collective of guys who have been together for decades, and we still dig each other. We love playing together, and we feel really very fortunate that this has come along in the wonder years.
That's like the best, to really dig what you're doing, to be totally on the same page with the people that you're working with. And, so few people get to experience that.
Yeah.
Really dig what they do. And I was like, I've been on both sides of the spectrum.
Yeah, me too.
Right. We've all started out doing the jobs, making everybody else rich, and keeping us poor and putting in crazy hours and not kind of focusing on what's really important. And it's like, for what? And then you get the opportunity to do what you want to do, and then you get to make a living off that. And it's like, holy shit, this is so much better.
This is good.
Right. And the documentary thing is kind of like, I just finished one that was being done about my life. And I was like, man, it's a mixed feeling. It's like some days you just want that damn thing out of your face.
Yeah. And also you don't want it to be an epitaph.
Right.
Is this really what, am I going to have like a video screen on my headstone and this is what's going to play because this is the end? It's a mixed blessing when they choose to do these. It's like getting a Lifetime Achievement Award, and you kind of go, but I'm not done.
Right.
got work to do. You know, I mean, it's an honor on the one hand that somebody feels you're important or valid enough to put this kind of attention into it. But on the other hand, you kind of go, you know, isn't this premature? Or, you know, why now?
It's like you're just getting started, you know. It's like, I ain't done yet. It's almost like getting the go home cue when you're giving an acceptance speech. It's like, I got shit to say, you know. And they're like, hey, you know, this has been great. Enjoy your award, but it's someone else's time now. It's like, no.
Yeah.
That is.
Well, I've always felt that way too, you know, because it's always felt like the flavor of the moment industry.
Right.
Even though like a lot of the major acts that are out there are older acts that are really pulling in, you know, I mean, when you have like McCartney and Elton and all those people, then you have bands, you know, like Metallica and groups like that are out there. I mean, they're not 20-year-old guys anymore that are out there. And so it's really, it's like we were auditioning drummers for Phil Collins, and Phil knew John Bonham, you know, so Jason lives right near him. So Jason came down to audition, you know, and they're talking, yeah, well, that's John's kid. Well, his kid's 50 years old. You know, it's not like he's a 19-year-old. We ended up with Phil's son, who was 16, as our drummer, and he killed it. He didn't get the gig because he's Phil's kid. That was his in the door, but he auditioned and he totally nailed it. But it's really funny in this kind of flavor of the moment industry where you see all these people out there, you know, still working, and you just kind of go, there really is no end. You know, as long as you got, you know, the ability to get up on stage. I mean, when I look at Mick Jagger still on stage,
right.
And if you didn't see that wrinkled old face, he's still got the body of like a 17-year-old up there, and he's running all over the stage, you know, and putting on an amazing show. So you kind of go, whatever, just go along for the ride, as long as that thing's riding.
Hey, if you still enjoy it, and you know, if you still got the passion for it, and the ability to do it, then by all means. Because
and the fan base, you know, the people want it. They're not sitting there like with Phil. I mean, at this point, he's had some bad surgeries, so he can't play drums anymore. They fucked his back and his hands up because of that. And then he developed a condition called drop foot, where he really can't feel his right leg. So on the whole tour, he sits on a stool where he used to be running over the stage and playing drums and all this stuff. But the people want to see him and they want to hear those songs. Right. So, I mean, we had no problem selling out 80, 90,000 seaters in the thing. And you kind of go, and the guy's sitting on a stool singing, you know. I mean, it's like the band was amazing. The band was great. The show was beautiful. But you just kind of go, the people, the audience is there. If you got the music that they want to hear, they'll be there with you. And it's still one of the greatest art forms in the world.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And I think there's always deciding factors that kind of play a part in someone's longevity.
Yeah.
You know, I think attitude usually has a lot to do with it. If people start to show clearly that they're selling out, that they're full of themselves and not in it for the love of it anymore, I think people kind of pick up on that.
I hope so.
Yeah, and they don't like to support that anymore, because then it's like, okay, now it's going to get watered down. Now it's going to become just, you know, whatever they think.
Like a Holiday Inn version of what it once was. You know, you're like a lounge act at that point in a bad lounge.
Right.
With an attitude.
Right. The elevator music that nobody wanted, you know. And I think when people pick up on that, it kind of becomes an insult to them. And then they really, out of spite, just don't want to support it. And now with the internet, you got a lot of platform for bad reviews or debates on whether or not somebody still cares or if they're doing it for the wrong reasons. And
you can also, everybody posts the shows,
right?
Even if it's just crappy phone, but somebody who might have been thinking about going to somebody's show sees a couple of videos and goes, nah, I don't think so. I think I'd rather just listen to the old, you know, recordings.
Right. And then you get songs that were never released because you felt they weren't good enough. They didn't represent the band, and they get leaked. And it's like, we didn't want that out because we didn't feel it represented our body of work, and it got out. So then you're going to hear it and be like, oh, this isn't very good. Well, that's why we didn't release it.
Yeah.
Somebody did.
It's crazy, man. It is just, it's crazy times. It's like there's so much amazing possibilities and there's so much bullshit.
Right.
So you really got to kind of weigh it and just kind of dive in, and do the best you can with it. And if people don't want to be involved, then they won't, and then you'll fall by the wayside. But if you're giving them something that they're really enjoying, then man, more power to you and more power to them, because when things are this kind of stressful and down, you really want escape.
Right.
And if somebody can come out there and give them some stuff that every day or whenever the opportunity comes to go see something that uplifts them, then, it's a win-win for everybody.
And I find when times like this happen where it gets really dark for a lot of people, nostalgia is like the biggest upper you could have. So if you've done something that makes people remember a good time in their life, that's like invaluable. There's no price tag you're going to put on that. And that keeps people doing what they do, because
that's been the fun of the channel, is that that's one of the comments I get constantly is, man, God, I long for, the 80s again. And, and all, because I'm playing all these songs that they remember. And they remember it. Sometimes it's not good memories, because so much of the stuff all my career, people always come up and say, man, the music you've been is like the benchmark of my life, kind of thing. And it means births, deaths, marriages, divorce, everything. There's something attached when you hear a song that is, oh man, you're suddenly time traveling back to something but it's a remarkable thing. It's like suddenly being somewhere and you smell a clover that you haven't smelled since you were 8 years old, and for a brief second you're that 8-year-old again, and some memories that were so deep seated in your mind just kind of come back to the surface, and then they go away again, once you acknowledge it. But
yeah, absolutely. And I feel like you're hitting the nail on the head with like the scent thing.
Yeah,
big one. I think that and hearing something. And if you combine the two, it's definitely like it'll take you in that mindset of like you're there again for a moment. And I think that's so cool in so many ways.
Yeah, I love it.
And even, to your point with sometimes a song can remind somebody of something brutal they're going through that they don't want to relive. But perspective, they could view it as, but that song got me through that.
Yeah.
So I value it so much that I'm grateful when I hear it. It reminds me of like what it did for me, and it becomes so special. Like you're not listening to it purposely to depress yourself.
Yeah.
But it means so much to you that you can't just not listen to it. So you go back to it sometimes,
Yeah.
So I think it's interesting like that, that to be able to say you've done something that so many people view in that way, it's
cool, and unintentional, and never, it's not, there was, because it's like a couple of people said to me, they said, we know people that wanted to do a YouTube channel, and they hired like a mentor to show them how to do it all. And they said like at the end of a year, they had like 1,000 people on it. I said, because it's real easy to go on there and see somebody who's just taking a dump and they're eating it, and they've got 8 million views, like, and stuff. I mean, there's stuff that's one hit. But to have something that actually people want to come back to every day and are participating in again, I find I'm getting as much out of it as anybody else. And the thing is, I can't monetize almost any of it because everything I'm doing is copyright protected. So I'm not in it for the dough. I might, during the course of this 6 months, I might make a couple of grand.
right.
Where somebody else who's just posting, some goofy thing, eating boogers or something,
Right.
They might make some serious dough because there's no contention as to who owns that.
I would hope not.
Yeah, no kidding. My mind's going to the easiest places to think.
Well, that's what it is, though. Like in a nutshell, it's becoming rapidly shock value over substance.
Yeah,
and it's like pandering to the lower denominator. Like the idiots are the ones making people successful,
Well, it's like the Jackass movies. Any of those, you know, the guy just is get as ridiculous as you can,
Right.
and then you see all the videos of guys trying to do the same thing, and they don't even realize that a lot of that was staged. And here's this guy jumping into a pile of glass off the second story of his house. And you just go, dude, really? You thought that's what they did? And now you're laying there bleeding to death.
Yeah, you know,
a lot of people viewing.
right. They also had a crew of people waiting for something to go terribly wrong.
Yeah.
and
It blows my mind. Some of the stuff I see is just like, so you just go, really? Did you think this out at all before you did this? Or did you just pull out that 50-foot ladder and thought it would be cool to go to the top of that tree and then fall
Right.
out?
Like that guy just reached that point of views that it's monetization now, but he's not alive to enjoy it.
Exactly. Now, I got a question. So where you are, how is the music scene doing up there? I mean, we were slammed, but has anything opened up, or is there any like small venues or anything?
No, I mean, to my knowledge, like, you know, like I said, Kenny Olson and Scott Page and them are like, we're waiting to find out if we can even come out there.
Yeah.
It's been really like locked down, but in Nova Scotia, they're considered the safest province in Canada with all this going on.
Wow.
Because they've kept everything under control.
Kind of like New Zealand.
Yeah.
I'm doing an album with Brett McKenzie from Flight of the Conchords, and we've been talking, and he said, yeah, the minute this all started, their prime minister, she shut the island down. Right. And they got total control over it. And there's still, cases breaking out, but they're aware of them where they are, and they know how to, maintain it, closing in on it and handling it. But that's great that they did that where you are too. Then
because Ontario's done quite the opposite, and it's just a mess over there. And I'm glad I left there about 3 years ago. Mm-hmm. I was born and raised there, and it just got to be like time for a change. And this is like the best place I could pick because it's so great. Peaceful, it's quiet, it's beautiful, and it's way more livable, I find. It's not so hectic and crazy and, just so packed with people. And, they've done due diligence. Like, they've done a good job, and we've had so many times where there's no new cases. In Ontario, get bombed, right? So
I mean, it seems like they try to like open up some things, so they open the door like this much, and then everybody just goes rushing through it,
right?
And then it's like one step forward, 3 steps backwards every time.
Exactly.
And, it's really weird, But I've always had an affection. I mean, my main road base is a Dingwall in Sheldon's out of Saskatoon.
Oh, nice.
He's up there, and then getting to do people like Amanda Marshall and Anne Murray and all these people over the years. I've always had I always loved Canada and loved going up. We just earlier this year or last year we did the Vancouver Island Festival, and that was supposed to happen again, and then that's canceled. But it was really fun.
It seems to be the general consensus with a lot of people I talk to that they really dig it out here.
Yeah.
Kenny Olson was talking about it, saying, man, I went on the Warped Tour and whatnot, and that was nuts. And then I get to Canada, and he's like, I kind of want to take my shoes and, that off and just kind of walk barefoot in the grass for a while because it just seems so clean. And he's like, it was just so different.
It is. And at this point, I don't even know what the situation is for a lot of them, if any American acts were even to want to come up there, because I don't know what the border situation is at this point because of so many places just not wanting Americans to come in because they're pretty toxic at this point. Even if you're not, it's the stigma of being American that so many countries in the world have said you can't come here until you get your shit together.
We've had incidents where people would verbally say something kind of fucked up to anyone that had like a license plate from outside of here, as if they're here purposely to, but then in some cases it's like somebody would say on the internet, like they're my kid and they're from here, like they've lived here for a while now, they just haven't got the new license plates.
Yeah.
And people just like, yelling at them, like, go back to where you came from because you're spreading shit. And, It's like people.
It's crazy.
Yeah,
I mean, reason has really kind of left the building.
Yes,
and it's real sad because the next step out of that stuff is like this little asshole piece of crap here. It's 17-year-old who went in Portland and killed the people, and we've got a president who says, well, he's a good boy. Good boy, he's a fucking monster. Lock him up forever and take his parents too, because they're insane. But it's enabled all of this insanity during this period. And you're just seeing this adversarial situation that has evolved amongst people. And it's just every day here on the news, you just see situations that you just go are just unacceptable. But, I don't know where it's headed. I just want to get on the road and play music.
Everything's so divisive that I hate it. That's why, I was like, when I did my show, I was like, I'm gonna not do topics that are divisive in certain elements, like the best I can, or not have an opinion, because it's like it gets people so riled up, and it's like, for what? It's like all these shows tried to capitalize on the COVID thing. And I was like, look, man, I'm not going to sit here and act like I know all the facts, because I don't. I'm not an expert. I'm trying to get your mind off of the divisive shit.
Yeah.
If you want that, go to CNN. Like, I'm going to, we'll discuss it, of course, because it's affecting us.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to sit here and be like, well, according to my statistics, I don't know shit. Yeah. I'm no expert. I'm not going to lie to the people and pretend I am.
Yeah, well, that's like on every one of my posts, every video I do, I end up just, like today I said, because I get guys that write on there go, oh, so you've fallen for the COVID thing, huh? You're another one of the sheeple and all this crap. And I said today, look, I don't know everything, but I said, I know that I've lost friends to this. I talk to doctors and people in science, and they fill me in as best they can on what's going on. And all I do is I said, I just want a reasonable dialogue. And I said, all I'm saying on these things is, when you go out, if you think a mask is bullshit, that's fine for you. But if you're going to go into public, we are a community. It's not just all about you. Put the rag on your face, do what you got to do, go home and take it off and do whatever you want to do at home. But you're making everybody around you uncomfortable by not adhering to the rules. And when a business has rules stated as you're walking in, don't go in if you don't want to follow the rules. And then don't start fighting with the people in the store. To me, this is so easy. And I talked about that, I've been going to Japan since 1970, and I've been there so many times. And in all those years, every time you're walking around any of the cities in Japan, when somebody's not feeling good, they put a mask on, just because they think community. They don't think me. And I love when, like, some women posted, they think putting a mask on your face is a problem. They said, try wearing a bra all day in August, kind of thing. It's like there's so many worse things that you could be going through other than just putting just a piece of cloth over your face for a little while. I just don't get it. There's a whole mentality that's going on here that's just so hard to come to grips with.
It's entitlement.
And I've lived long enough to have seen a lot of weird shit going on in this country. And this is by far the most absurd, alternate universe I've ever thought I'd ever see in my life. With what's going on.
It's funny, too. I got a guest coming in a few minutes. I got to wrap this up. But
yeah, no problem.
It's funny that people will go as far, if you pay enough attention to the internet, they will even blame this year rather than take responsibility. Like, every year it's the same. Oh, this year really sucked. No, people really sucked this year.
Yeah.
If you think the magic number 2021 is suddenly going to fucking erase all this and make everything just grand, no. Your lack of accountability is the issue here. It's people that are making the year just unfathomably bad, and if we don't start taking responsibility for that, then we're not going to have a better year next year.
No, it's you're absolutely right, but it's like until people do take responsibility for their actions and for the actions of their community,
Right.
or their circle, and we're just, it's like we said, one step forward, 3 steps back. If they start to open things up a bit, do it responsibly. Don't just suddenly think about you. I'm so horny to get out of my house. I'm going to go to that bar and I'm not going to wear a mask and I'm going to get really drunk and spit in everybody's face. It's like,
Right.
wrong. I mean, it'd be one thing if the people who were irresponsible were the ones that were going to die.
Right.
Okay, fine. But the fact that, they might go home and their little sister's got asthma or something or their grandparents come over and next thing you know, you're watching their funeral on Zoom.
Right.
You can't attend it. I mean, it's like, but other than that, Mrs. Lincoln, how was the play?
Spot on.
I don't know.
That is spot on. And that's really the unfortunate part is it's usually not the ones that are affected. The ones that cause the shit usually aren't affected by it. It's the ones around them that are actually following rules. Yeah.
Well, it's like a drunk driver causes an accident and you see a family, they just killed a family and they're stumbling away from their car.
Right.
Really?
Every time, right?
Yeah.
And it's such bullshit.
Yeah.
And so that's 100% spot on. I don't think anyone would have a problem if the people responsible were the only ones affected, but just not.
It's their call at that point.
Right.
So they've chosen that path, but I don't want to be put in harm's way because of an imbecile.
No, because their entitlement, or they think that, everything's a big conspiracy theory.
Yeah.
And it's like, I get it. Conspiracies do happen. But not everything, slapping the label on conspiracy theory doesn't make you suddenly a genius. You know what I mean? It's this false form of intellect. Like, I'm just going to say that's bullshit. And now I feel like I'm smarter than everybody because I know what's really going on. It's like, you don't know a damn thing.
Yeah.
So it's just, I don't know, it's nonsense and the wrong people.
Let's hope for a better tomorrow. Let's just hope that they can wrap their heads around this thing, that there will be some kind of, medication or something that can really help the people who want to be helped.
Right.
I don't know how they're going to get, a shot or whatever to everybody on this planet, but I'm hoping for the best. I mean, if you can't hope for something better, then why waste your time here?
Right.
So you always have to look towards the future and try to make the world a better place if possible.
Exactly. And that's the thing is everybody has to also work towards better and actually do their part, in simple ways. It's just common courtesy, shit like that. It's not like asking anybody to be the sole person that cures cancer. It's just like, don't be a dick.
Yeah.
We'll get a little bit better.
That would be a great t-shirt. Just don't be a dick.
Right. Stop making stupid people famous.
Yeah.
Don't be a dick. YouTube has better purposes than, damn near killing yourself for viewership of people
just so you can monetize you.
Right. And people that aren't even going to think about you tomorrow. They're not going to remember you.
So out. Just so out.
Right.
Well, look, I guess you got to get running for your next interview.
Yeah, unfortunately, because it's been a blast, man.
Well, it's a pleasure. And if you ever want to do it again, I'm happy to do it.
Hell yeah, anytime. Open invitation.
Okay, great. No, that would be great. I'll just, check with Eileen and she can check with you and see what's going on. But yeah, no, it's fun. I love the hang, man.
Yeah, it's been great, man. Thanks a lot.
Maybe it'll be a little better where I'll have my book to show you.
Yeah, I would love to get that actually myself. So.
Yeah, I mean, if you get a moment, go check out the club.
Yeah, sure.
Because I've got a link to it on every one of my videos on my YouTube channel. And like Rick Beato's on it, Tim Pierce, there's a bunch of different guys that are all sharing this site. So you get into it and then you just click on my picture and then shows the swag and all the bullshit that's going on and stuff. But it's really fun. We're having a great time with it. And,
yeah, that's awesome. And I got my own channel, so you'll know it's me when I subscribe to it. So it'll tell you.
It's great. I'll go check yours out and hit subscribe on that too.
Oh, awesome. Thanks, man.
That'd be my pleasure.
I just recently myself started contributing more to it. So, because I thought, why contribute just audio?
Yeah.
People have all these other platforms to listen to the show. They're not going to go to YouTube for that. But now that I've incorporated videos, it's probably going to pick up some. So,
well, a lot of people that, because there's a lot of musicians I know that they don't understand, like they'll go on Facebook and they go to their page like once every couple of months. And I go, people want content.
Right.
That's what it's all about. So like I go there, I don't live on that crap, but I mean, I go a couple of times a day and put stuff, and then there's a lot of people post stuff, and then I'm always thrown off of Facebook just for some political statement I made. Next thing I know, I'm blocked for another 30 days. I usually get kicked off about a half a year every year off of Facebook. But, but it's all content. And that's why, like with my YouTube channel, it's like I'm there every day.
Right.
And people come back, and some people come back. If I hadn't gotten there early enough, they start writing, going, "Are you okay? Has anything happened?" So that I feel guilt, and I better get my ass into gear and get something up there.
That's a good problem to have.
Yeah. That's good. Well, man, it's a pleasure talking to you, and I'm going to go check your page out and hit subscribe, and look forward to another hang.
Absolutely, we'll set it up.
Okay, it sounds good, man, and enjoy paradise up there.
Yeah, thanks a lot, man. Have a good one.
Okay, man.
Take care.
No, really, actually.
Yeah, that's more like it. That's what I'm more familiar with.
People wouldn't know me if I didn't. I mean, and it's like everybody wonders about it. I've got a whole explanation of how it all started on the first page of the book. So
beautiful.
Just give them a tutorial.
All right, man. Thanks a lot.
It's a pleasure, man. Till next time.
Absolutely.
Okay. Have a great rest of your show.
Thanks. You too. Have a good time.
Take care, man.
You too. So that was Leland Sklar. What an amazing dude, honestly. What an awesome talent. Like, this guy is the epitome of the word legend, in my view. You just listen to who he's played for. Check him out. Look him up, dude. His resume, I could have spent an hour just talking about his resume, but I'd rather you hear from him. So be sure to support his book when it comes out, because imagine how cool that would be. The faces and names you're going to see in that book. What a trip. It's going to be so cool when it comes out. I personally want to grab a copy myself. I think he's so awesome, and the fact that he gets to live however he likes now, nice and comfortable, he earned that, and has great stories. That's the best part. Things come and go, but those stories and those memories, they last a lifetime, and he's definitely had a lot of them. So anyways, man, thanks for checking out the show. I love y'all. Thank you for the support, and I will catch your asses later.